everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little bit since I made a video, but we are back and we're going to be making bacon this time around. So this is the last piece of an entire pork belly that I've already done. I'm going to show you all basically what I do with just this one cut. This was about a 9.5 pound pork belly that I just cut into 4 different pieces. I trimmed the ends off of some of them as well too, because it was just full of fat. So if you're going to fry it on a pan, it's just going to be a pool of just fat on there. But no worries, I'm saving that. That'll be used for something else, probably for some sausage. And so it's pretty straightforward, to be quite honest with you. I was pretty intimidated to do this. I did do a practice run on my own. And, it was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I think the most intimidating part of it is just the pink salt and having to actually use measurements. You guys know me. You guys have seen my videos. I don't really measure anything out like that. But when it comes to bacon, apparently you've got to be pretty precise with your measurements. Otherwise, it can be, pretty dangerous with bacteria. So the curing salt essentially helps with the bacteria not being able to grow, as this has to sit in the fridge for at least 7 to 10 days. But yeah, I've already got everything all mixed up here. I did use a website called makingbacon.com or something like that. I'll link it in the video, of course. But it's got a calculator, which will tell you essentially what you need to put into the mixture. You are going to need some sort of a scale that can measure in grams. So this scale will do it. You will measure the bacon, or I should say you will weigh the bacon. In this case, like this piece of bacon was 756 grams. You're going to hit calculate, and it'll tell you exactly how much pink salt you need. It'll tell you exactly how much salt you need. It'll tell you exactly how much sugar you need. So that's essentially what this is. The only adjustment that I made on there is I lowered the percentage of salt that they have input there. They have 2% salt by weight. So I lowered that down to about 1.8. The other batch that I made, it seemed to be a little bit on the salty side. So I just lowered it a little bit, and we'll see how that turns out and if we have to make any adjustment. But beyond what you need to actually put in there by weight, you can add whatever you really want in there. So like one of those mixtures, I put in some garlic powder. The other, I put in some pepper. You can sprinkle some pepper on afterwards. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the mix, but we'll see how those turn out. The other ones that I did were literally just exactly this. It was salt, it was the pink curing powder, and it was the sugar. So again, what's important here is that you're using this curing salt. It's Prague powder number 1. So you want to make sure that you're using this. There's Prague powder number 2. You want Prague powder number 1 when you're making bacon. Coarse salt, and just some regular white sugar. Beyond that, I do have a vacuum sealer, but you don't have to use a vacuum sealer at all. You can just put this in a regular big Ziploc bag, and well, that wasn't supposed to happen. You don't have to put it into a vacuum sealer like this. You can put it into a regular Ziploc bag. As long as it's big enough to fit the bacon, it's going to be just fine. I happen to have one of these on hand, so whatever, I'm just going to put it in there, but it's not necessarily needed. So let me go ahead and get some gloves on, and then we're going to put this rub on, and then we'll go from there. All right, so this is literally all that you're doing. You got the mixture, put it all over, about just a little less than half of the mixture, and then rub it in to the top. And just kind of make sure you're getting good, even coating all over. And then what I like to do from there is flip it over and get, again, a little less than half on the other side, because we want to leave some behind to put on the sides. And remember, this is calculated out by weight. So you want to make sure you're using every bit of this cure. Now you're going to have some that's left over on whatever your surface here is. So just make sure you pick up all of it and pat it all in nicely. So as you can see here, this is not the best cut of pork belly that I'd like to see for bacon. It's kind of, just more fatty than anything. When you're looking for a bacon or for a pork belly, find the one that's got the most meat. Pork belly's got a lot of fat, and no matter what kind of pork belly you're going to have, you're always going to have a lot of fat. So just make sure that you're finding one that's got the most meat on it. But so that's essentially it for now. This is going to get put into a vacuum sealed bag, and then it's going to have to sit for about 7 to 10 days. So We'll see how long mine ends up staying there. It's definitely going to be at least 7 days. More than likely, it's going to go for about 8 to 9, and then I will be putting it on the smoker. So I'll see you guys in about a week and a half. All right. Also, here is where we are at. These have been curing for 8 days. They're going to be going on the smoker tomorrow. There's one final step that I'm going to do with these. We're taking it out of that bag. What I did with these is just go ahead and run them underwater and just kind of rinse off anything that might be remaining off the top. You can see on like this one, this is the one that was peppered. Some pepper still remained. That's not a big deal. That can stay on. But yeah, I mean, essentially you're just trying to get anything that might be still remaining from that EQ brine taken off. So as you can see, looking a little bit more like bacon. It's got that nice pink color that you get that comes from the curing process itself. But yeah, I mean, at this point, if you want, you can go ahead and put some seasoning on this if you'd like. You can add some more pepper on there. You can, put your favorite barbecue rub on there, whatever you really want to do. I'm going to keep these just as they are. There was one of these that was covered in the garlic powder. This one was obviously covered in pepper. Since these are still new to me, I'm just going to kind of try to see how the salt content is on it. So what you can do at this stage too, just to test that, is just cut a slice off of this and cook it on the pan and see if it's too salty for you. And if it is, what you can do is you can just put this in a basically like an ice bath and let that water draw the salt out of it, which will make it a little bit less salty. Now I know from my initial run from doing this, it was 2% salt and it was just barely a little too salty. So I knocked that down by 0.2%. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to be fine. So I'm not going to do any testing, which, it is what it is. I'm sure it's going to be fine, but that's what the point of this is to just do testing, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then go from there. So obviously this won't be my last batch. If this one's not salty enough, then we'll bump it up, 0.1%, and it should be fine. But yeah, so from here, all we're going to do now is just go ahead and pat this dry. And the reason why we're doing this is just so that we can let this sit in the fridge overnight. And so what that's going to do to it is just kind of dry out the crust and hopefully adhere some better smoke to it, as well as just create a nicer outer crust. So just make sure you get it nice and dry. So yeah, now once you've got them all dried, like I said, the only other thing that we're going to do now is go ahead and just put this in the fridge overnight. It's about 8:30 at night right now. I'll get to this when I get to this tomorrow, but you can pretty much leave this pretty much another 24 hours to just air cool in the fridge and dry out. But other than that, we'll get back to it again tomorrow. All right, good morning, everyone. We are at about 8 a.m. here now, so these have been in the fridge for about 12 hours. And so we've obviously got the smoker running, getting a whole lot of nice smoke coming out of that smoke box. And of course, we're running this at the lowest temperature that your smoker will handle. So if that's, 160, you're going to run this at 160. If it's 150 like mine is, I'm going to run it at 150. Mine also has a fan only mode. However, I have not messed around with that setting at all yet. So I'm not going to, of course, use that on this portion of the video just yet, only because I don't know exactly how that works. But like I said, I'm going to have this set up to 150, sitting at 179 right now, which is a bit too high. It's going to be hard for this smoker to maintain 150 because that is such a low temperature to control the fire. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and get this put on, and then we're just going to leave it on there for a period of time. Of course, I'll have these probed, probably one in one of the thicker ones, and then one in one of the thinner ones, just to keep an eye on it. And you'll probably have to pull these off at different times, especially if you have different varying thicknesses on these. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get these put in now. And so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just put these fat down, only that way because it's going to protect the meat. I'm going to go grab the other two, probe them, and shut this down and let it go. So I'll see you back in a few hours. All right, so some time has passed here. I'm just going to check on the wood in the smoke box, and it looks like it's getting starting to get low, so I'm just going to toss another chunk in there. And for reference, I am using apple wood for this, so we're going to get some apple wood smoked bacon out of here. But it's looking pretty good so far, burning out exactly how I would expect, so just going to let it keep rocking. And so I've got this on, I don't know, maybe a quarter turn now. So once that's lit up and ready to go, you can essentially close this valve. When you start it out, you want it to be all the way opened up like this. But then after it's already been lit and it's on its own, you can just kind of get it to that 1/4 space. You can even close it entirely. It's not gonna, shouldn't light out, but I'm gonna just keep it slightly open. So, so like I said, I think we're getting close to an hour in. So you can see there, you get the thinner piece, it's already at 80 degrees, and the thicker piece, it's at 64. So like I said, we're probably going to be taking these off, staggered here. But yeah, and like I said, it's set at 150, but it's at 161. That 150 low temp is very hard to maintain because it's a fire. So it's just going to do what it has to do, and it's going to be hard to maintain a lower temperature, especially when you're in the sun. But so let's go ahead and let it keep rocking. All right, everyone. So that is what it's looking like. We are almost at hour 5 here, and that's what I'm calling it for this bacon. They're all sitting at between 135 and 140. So I'm just gonna pull the last one off, which oddly enough is the one that's the thinnest here at the end, but it is also ready to go. So we're gonna take this off. And so now what we're gonna do with these is just let it sit. It's just going to get down to temperature, room temperature, I should say. And once it's at room temperature, we're going to go ahead and just wrap it in some foil, just some regular plastic wrap. And then we're going to let that sit in the fridge overnight, at least a few hours, so that this becomes really nice and easy to slice. That way, if you don't have like a deli slicer or something, then you can still slice this as thin as you kind of want it with just a sharp knife. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the home stretch with this. All we're going to do now is just let it rest, essentially. So it smells amazing. Obviously, this was smoked on applewood chunks, so that definitely gave it a really nice flavor. We kept it rocking at that 150 degree temp, which fluctuated. I saw it go even all the way up to 180, which isn't ideal for bacon, but it is what it is. It's not going to be the end of the world. But I mean, yeah, this is looking really amazing. It smells amazing. So now we just got to wait and see the finished product tomorrow. All right, guys, so here we have the finished product now. Of course, this has been sitting in the fridge for a couple of days, and I've been looking forward to this for since this came off of the smoker. Obviously, the bacon looks great, smells great. It's got some really wonderful color on there. You can see the separation between the meat and the fat on there. Smells, like I said, amazing. And then when it's sliced just like this, and I just did this with a knife, kind of try to get it as thin as I can, but sometimes a thicker cut of bacon is nice. But as you can see, I'll get you a close up in a second. Bacon looks great. And then of course I've got some that I cooked up here as well. And one of the best ways, especially with this type of bacon, I feel like, is to put it in the oven on a cookie sheet with a wire rack on there. So this was at 350 for about 35 minutes, and it got to just about the perfect consistency that I like it, right where it's starting to get crispy, but not just there yet. It still has that meaty kind of good texture to it. So we're going to make some BLTs out of this in just a second. I'm going to show you the way that I make my BLTs. Kind of got a little bit of a kick to them with some Tabasco. But let's go ahead and get you a close-up and start making those sandwiches. All right, and so again, just to get you a nice closer look, how nice that looks. Quick note about this too. So this is a hot smoked bacon. So a lot of bacon purists will tell you that this isn't bacon, this is ham, which is fine. That's probably the specific definition of that is probably true. But this honestly came out so great at using the hot smoke method, which this was running just about as low as that smoker will go without it having a ton of just fluctuations in temperature. But the Camp Chef XXL Pro does have a cold smoking option, so that's just something that I'm gonna have to look into and figure out how to do it, which is totally fine. That'll be the next experiment though. But for a hot smoked bacon, this came out really great, so I'm pretty excited with it. All right, so here we of course have the spread. We've got of course the bacon itself. We've got some shredded lettuce. We've got some tomatoes that we're gonna throw some salt and pepper on, and then we've got some Italian bread. Along with, for the sauce, we're going to put some mayonnaise as well as some Chipotle Tabasco in there. Mix that up to make a nice little extra kick to this BLT for it. So let's go ahead and get started with putting this together, right? So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to put together a BLT, but there are some things that you can do to just kind of take it up a notch. And the first way I'm going to do that is to go ahead and take just kind of, like I do, eyeball some mayonnaise, and then my favorite Tabasco, which is the Chipotle Tabasco, and put in there as much as you want, which in my case is going to be the rest of this bottle. And then we're just going to stir that up. And then once you've got that all nicely incorporated, just go ahead and Drop some right on the sandwich and spread it around. Next thing that I'm going to do is go down with, of course, the lettuce. Then we're going to go in with the tomatoes. And I like to do thick cut tomatoes for BLTs. Just feel like it tastes a little bit better that way. You know, eating is as much flavor as it is about texture. And then finish up with the bacon. And obviously you got to do a thick layer of bacon. And then top it up. And there you have it. So obviously BLT, bacon, lettuce, tomato, but that mayonnaise along with the Tabasco is going to kick it up a notch. And then those salt and pepper, and in this case this was SPG that I put on those tomatoes. SPG on those tomatoes is going to take it just to that next level where it's going to taste a whole lot better than it would just a regular plain BLT. All right, and so last thing to do obviously is to take a good bite. I'm telling you, there's just something different about making your own bacon. When you have that real smoke, there's just something extra to it. That taste is out of this world. And honestly, it's a lot more work. Like, it's easy to go to the store and just pick up a package of bacon. But when you make it yourself, you can just taste the difference. It's got such a better texture to it. It's got the real smoke flavor, not that liquid smoke that they use when you buy your typical package of bacon. It just tastes so much better. Honestly, this is amazing. And I mean, honestly, for this to not be bacon, you know, hot smoked bacon, whatever you want to call it, this tastes amazing. You know, we're gonna see how the cold smoked bacon turns out. I'm interested to see because this tastes amazing as it is. But we're gonna see how cold smoked bacon turns out because we can do that on the XXL Pro. So I'm really excited, honestly, to try that out. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, this is already a giant win in my book. All right, so that's gonna do it for the video, though, guys. Thank you so much. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this bacon video. Let me know what you think about my videos in general. Let me know if this stuff is interesting to you guys, if this is entertaining. Please let me know. But we're going to wrap it up for this one. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.